Hi, everyone. Welcome into this Comparing Aid Offers webinar. I'm Jacob Vandorf. I'm one of the admissions counselors here at Whitworth University. Yeah, if you're having any technical difficulties, please let us know. But super excited for everyone being here today. Thanks for joining and coming in and listening. Hopefully, this session can be really informative and helpful for you as you make your college decision. But I am not the star of the show here. I want to welcome and introduce Tracy Spoon Stensland, who's our Assistant Vice President of Student and Financial Services here at Whitworth. So, Tracy, go ahead and take this thing away.
All right. Thank you, Jacob, for the nice introduction. Welcome to a webinar hosted by Whitworth University. I've been at the university for just over 32 years, and I've been in higher ed longer than that. And one of the things that can be very confusing about the financial aid process is actually comparing financial aid offers. And we recognize that oftentimes decisions related to higher education come down to the financials of the family, and trying to understand the different offers and what they mean throughout the career, the 4 years of students in school can be kind of overwhelming. So I'm hoping to unpack that for you a little bit this evening, and at the end, even offer some help. So let's go ahead and get started, Jacob, with the first slide. So this is some of the things that can happen when you're comparing offers. The formats of the offer letters can be different. You can receive them in different methods. The components of the cost of attendance can be presented in different ways. The criteria to receive the aid may not be clear, and the true costs can be calculated in different ways. You might have noticed as you've been going through this process that some universities or colleges refer to their financial aid offer as an offer or a letter or an award. And they're all the same thing. They're all giving you what financial aid resources are available at their institution. Different names. The delivery may be different. You may receive paper. Some of them you may need to go out to portals and print them. Come in an electronic format, and some come in an email. There's most institutions have a standard layout that they use for all students that they're awarding. And they are very intentional on how they lay it out. They want the students to understand what resources are available at their institutions. They usually put the aid in two different what we call buckets or categories, and that's gift aid, scholarships and grants. It's the money you don't have to pay back. Scholarships are usually based on merit, academics or talent, and grants are typically based on need. Self-help aid would be money that you had to earn or work, and that's referred to as work study and student loans. I wanted to show you just a sample of our offer letter. Hopefully, if you're considering Whitworth, you've already completed the FAFSA and you have one of these offer letters in hand. But our offer letter is very linear, it's very transparent, and it does put the aid in buckets like I just explained. You'll notice that we tell the student how many credits per semester that the aid is covering. That's really important to know. Also, what what the aid was based on, what FAFSA, what SAI was used to calculate the financial aid. Sometimes families will make corrections to their FAFSA, their SAI will change, and you'll want to make sure that the school is presenting the most recent and current information for you. And then we have our categories of aid, scholarships and grants, student loans. We do a cost analysis for the family, and then we present additional resources like work study and credit-based loans. This is an overview of our scholarships and grants that a student might see on his or her financial aid offer. Our academic achievement scholarship, we break it out to show the student how much the student is receiving each semester. University grant, which is based on financial need and does require the FAFSA. The federal Pell Grant, which is money from the federal government based on the FAFSA. Washington State College Grant is for Washington residents who complete the FAFSA. Washington State College Bound Scholarship would be for a student who their high school partnered with the College Bound program and identified you as a College Bound recipient. Then we have the federal SEOG grant and Whitworth Bound Scholarship. So if a student does come in with the Washington College Bound Scholarship, we award that student $2,000 more in a Whitworth Bound Scholarship. So we present all the scholarships, all the gift aid, all the free money all together. We give you a total, we give you the amounts for the terms, semesters, and a total amount for the year. Student loans, these are federal student loans. Students do need to complete the free application for federal student aid to be considered for them. But we show the student how much in subsidized loan he or she qualifies for and how much in unsubsidized. First year students, the maximum the student can receive is $5,500 between the two programs. We show clearly how much is going to be subsidized and how much is unsubsidized because the government is subsidizing the subsidized loan by paying the interest while the student is in school and for 6 months after the student leaves school. So it's important to know which student loans and the amounts the student has available in each. We also then total the financial aid. So if you go ahead, Jacob, I might have you go back to the award letter. The next section, as I mentioned, shows the federal work study, the amount the student can earn. Um, and what's really amazing is the state of Washington has a pretty robust minimum wage right now. And so a student who works about 8 or 10 hours a week throughout the semester can earn about $4,000 to $5,000 a year. The student receives that money directly. Um, Now we do let families know, and this is important, that we don't guarantee employment, but we do let the student know there's plenty of on-campus positions. They just need to look for them. But that would be something that, you need to understand when you see a work study program. Are you going to be placed in a work study program? Do you have to look for the job? Are you guaranteed a job? So that's important information to know. And then we outline that there's credit-based private loans. These are loans where there needs to be a credit check run, but parents and students can maybe use these loans to fill the gap if there's still money owing after the other financial aid is applied. Jacob, I'm going to have you go back up to the full financial aid offer because I want to be able to show that what we do is in the cost analysis is we show how much tuition and fees, mandatory fees are, how much on-campus housing and the food plan is, and then we total it for families. Then we do two different calculations, and this is really important, and I'll go into this further in a minute, but it shows how much is owed after just scholarships and grants, so just your free money, and then it shows how much is owed after you apply the loans. So when someone says, "How much do you owe?" Actually, you could have two different numbers. You just need to know how those numbers are calculated. Thank you, Jacob. Another type of financial aid is called a shopping sheet. This was developed actually by the Department of Education in an attempt so that families could compare apples to apples. Most schools do offer them to students. And again, the key feature of the college financing plan or shopping sheet is that students understand what their net price is. And so on this shopping sheet, you can only calculate the net price by subtracting grants and scholarships. So that families, when they're comparing the net price that's the same in all cases. Oh, okay. Well, I got ahead of myself on the cost analysis. This is just what I was just explaining. Again, we do that in our actual financial aid offer. We show the net price, that 13,873 being the cost after just scholarships and grants. Some schools will make their letter or their offer estimated or preliminary. You need to understand what it means to get what you need to do or provide them so that the offer can be finalized. It just depends, and that language can vary from school to school. So it's important to understand what is needed to finalize the offer to make it official. So be sure to look into that as you're comparing different offers from different schools. Some schools will require you to sign and accept it. At Whitworth, we don't require that. So we just make the letter estimated if we're concerned about federal and state budgets and needing to know the final numbers from them, or if the family owes us some sort of documentation, we will estimate the offer until we can confirm the documentation or the numbers from the federal government, from the governments. If a student does not complete a free application for federal student aid, the student might just get what we call a merit only award, which is just shows the scholarships and grants. Um, and so that might look different than a student that completes a FAFSA and then has a lot of need-based aid in the offer. So it depends. If you don't complete the free application for federal student aid, you might just have a merit only award, which is just gift aid. Where if you fill out the FAFSA, you're going to have your merit money plus you're going to have probably need-based funds presented in the offer letter. So it's important that you understand what goes into a cost of attendance. This is actually mandatory. This is actually in federal regulation what we have to use. And we have to use both what we call direct costs and indirect costs. And direct costs is what's billed by the school. So that's going to be your tuition, mandatory fees, your housing if you live on campus, and your meals if you're going to eat on campus. That's all charges, direct costs that are going to be billed by the school. Then you have your indirect costs. They're still costs related to higher education, but they're going to vary. And that's books, supplies, personal expenses, and transportation. Those indirect costs can vary from institution to institution depending on how the institution defined or came to those expenses for students. We use a survey that's used across the state of Washington for students, and so we base our indirect costs, those estimated costs, on a survey done by students. It's going to vary from institution to institution. Some institutions may really have high book costs for some reason. It just depends on how they came up with those numbers. So it's important to look at both direct costs and indirect costs when you're looking at your cost of attendance. And then again, your net price is going to be your total cost of attendance minus your grants and your scholarships. That's your true cost. After that, then you can apply self-help like the federal student loans to come up with what you would owe after that. But when you're actually comparing offers, you're actually going to compare net price, and that's total cost of attendance, direct and indirect, minus grants and scholarships. Again, make sure that your schools have the most recent student aid index for you, most recent FAFSA, and that you're comparing. Let's say you have one school that has one transaction of your FAFSA and another school that has another transaction. You want to make sure that your offers are being based on the same transaction that you're comparing. Okay, as you understand what type of aid is you're eligible for, you kind of have to also understand what criteria is tied to it. So is it renewable aid or is it just all aid for 1 year? Does it have academic requirements? Like does your scholarship at one institution require a 3.5 when another institution it's a 2.0? Are there participation expectations? If you receive some sort of talent award, what are the expectations for participation to keep that award? And like student loans, have you been presented with student loans that require credit checks? Are they loans that you can count on um, based on your credit history? So, as you can see, there's a lot of different ways you can calculate costs and compare things incorrectly. You can take your direct costs minus gift aid, which a lot of people do. And the reason they do it is because they want to know how much they're going to owe the school. Like how much am I going to owe? How much do I have to pay? So direct costs minus gift aid. Then what they do is some take direct costs minus all financial aid, including loans. Some take direct costs minus financial aid and assume that they're going to work or take out credit-based loans. Then there's those students that take the total cost and subtract out the same through the same thread. Direct and indirect minus gift aid minus loans, minus gift aid work and credit based loans. So as you can see, it depends on how your school did their calculation or how you're doing the calculation when you're comparing things. We know that it can be confusing to understand all this, to look at these financial aid offers and try to figure this all out on your own. So we're actually offering a service. It's called Whitworth Cost Clarity Service. And it's an opportunity for you to send us three financial aid offers. So your top three schools, and you're trying to figure out, okay, which is the least expensive? Let's say you want to figure that out. And we will have one of our experienced financial aid counselors review them and do a comparison. And they will do a comparison so that you can be assured they're comparing apples to apples. And then they will go back and show you the three different options and how they played out. So you will be getting an email tomorrow inviting you to use this service if you want, which I highly encourage students and families to do so that you can get a better picture of what resources you have at the various institutions. Now, with all this said about cost, I'm going to add my 2 cents in about right fit schools. I know I had two students, I have two children, and they both were very different in the type of institutions they wanted. And they could have gone with a much less expensive option than they chose. But statistically, we know that when students choose the right fit institution, that they're more likely to retain and progress and earn a degree. We also know that when students aren't in the right fit institutions and they leave higher education, they don't often go back. And so I know that cost is a big thing and you're trying to get your head around what's the kind of the best deal, but it's not going to be a great deal if it's not the right fit. It's worth the money. I will say, being in higher education 37 years, it's worth the money to be in the right fit school. And so just consider that. Just consider that as you're working through the finances and weighing things out, that you just want to be in the right place for you, where you'll flourish academically, intellectually, socially, spiritually. It's just when it's the right fit, it's what I call magical. I see students just transformed. When it's not, it's really frustrating for the student. So find your right fit and hopefully it fits into your budget. Even if it's a stretch, I say stretch and do the right fit. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. Just a little bit to give you some insights on the complexity of financial aid offers, and then also offer our service to you. It's been a delight spending some time. All the best in the next couple weeks as you make your final decisions.
Thanks, Tracy. That was really well said. Yeah, we look forward to you guys taking advantage of this. And we're here for you. We're here to help you. So reach out if you have questions, sign up for those financial aid calls, have us compare your offers. Um, yeah, we hope to hear from you soon.